Alrighty, so it goes everyone. Welcome to Hearth and Soul, episode 4, with our special guest,
Of
Joey.
course.
Joey, thank you for being here. Alrighty, so today we're going to talk about Joey's Handlock deck, but first, Joey, I'd like to know about your history with Hearthstone. So when did you
I
get started
started just a
playing the
little
game?
over a year ago. So December of 2013, I found my beta invites, I guess, in my email box 2 weeks after it was sent. So yeah, I think exact date was December 19th, 2013. And yeah, so that's when I started. I started by playing Priest because I thought they were overpowered when I saw people playing Gurubashi Berserker and them healing it to oblivion. When I didn't have a full collection of cards, I was like, how do I handle this? I think Gurubashi Berserker is the best card in the game. And so I played Priest for like about a month. And then I think I started running to Handlocks around like rank 9 or so. And, Priest, and you guys all know how one-sided the Handlock and Priest matchup is, or at least it was, and still sort of
Hmm.
is today. So then I transitioned over to Handlock and almost never looked back, except for maybe a period of time when when hunters were very prevalent in the meta and they're almost unstoppable. So I had to play a control warrior for a bit. But yeah, then I've been pretty much primarily a Handlock player, but I've expanded or have tried other things here and there. And yeah, that's my history with Hearthstone. And then I guess I joined Adventus Gaming like a month ago, 2 months ago. And yeah, it's a small team.
Right, yeah. So it apparently was formed 7 weeks ago, right? So like 2 months ago. You're not one of the founding members,
Yeah,
or did the team already
no,
exist
the,
before
the
you
the
got there?
team started up with my joining, I suppose. So there's four of us. There's Black
Oh,
Tide,
okay.
who's regularly a high performing player on the ladder. There's Navi, who
Hmm.
finished top 100 in maybe 3 or 4 consecutive seasons now, and he's going to be in the Hard Stats Invitational coming up soon with Hyped, I think. And yeah, he's going to go up against Hyped, so that's going to be pretty interesting. And then Church, who has had early success with the game, and I think he played, when Raynet had money games before Twitch started banning that. He actually participated in one of those. And then there's
Hmm.
myself, so um, and Gallicott, who I think is like the head admin of the ESL and the Hearthstone division for the ESL. He he is the founder. So yeah, so we all kind of just got together, and that's how we started.
And the plan with Adventus is to just practice for tournaments together. Are you guys planning on doing like your own tournaments or any sort
For
of
now, yeah,
hosting
it's
or
just
anything like that?
practicing for tournaments, trying to make a splash on the scene. Adventus is Latin for "we have arrived," so I've always had always liked
Hmm.
Latin flair to things, so I thought that was pretty neat.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're just trying to make a splash on the scene by consistently achieving high in the ladder, trying to make our stream presence known individually and collectively, and also yeah, trying to make noise in the tournament scene as well, and trying to make a splash similar to the way Tempo Storm and even more recently Archon Gaming has made. So yeah.
Hmm. Now I know you told me that you hosted a tournament on Monday. I think I missed it. What tournament
This is a
was the one that you hosted?
separate venture. This is a startup league by Paul Miles. It's called the Mana League. So we've been doing
Hmm.
a couple of preseason events, and yeah, we're just trying to build up this tournament series. And this one's actually a little bit more unique in that it actually features a sideboard, and it's only a one deck format. So what you guys are mostly familiar with is the last hero standing, which is either like best of threes or best of fives, and either like 4 decks, one ban, or no bans, or things like that. And this one is only one deck,
Hmm.
but it's been featuring a 10 card sideboard, and we're still experimenting with how big the sideboard is, but this allows for a little bit more, I guess, intelligence instead of just winning the first game and countering. It's more like, okay, let me adjust my deck to what I see from you, and hopefully I brought the right, tech cards to make the proper adjustments after the game. And these have been just the best of 3 series, and it's a very interesting tournament. I'm not hosting it necessarily, but I am casting for them. So it's just a gig that was offered to me
Hmm.
by the I guess the tournament series owner, who was Paul Miles. So yeah.
So it's like similar to the Mana Grind
Alrighty,
tournaments
so
that used to happen a while ago. Or was it
Man,
Mana Grind?
no,
Or
it's not Mana Grind. This is separate. He named it Mana League, I guess,
no,
similar
I
to.
was just wondering like this similar formatting with the it's like Swiss rounds.
Oh, yeah. I guess the Swiss round format in that respect, it could be a little similar, but I don't know if it's similar in the playstyle format.
Because like yeah, that one was it was the same thing. It was Swiss format one deck. You had to play one deck the whole time,
Okay.
except for it was only like instead of best 2 out of 3s, it was just best of ones throughout the whole thing.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
just no added sideboard.
I see. Okay, so if it was only one game, yeah, then I suppose it's the same. I mean, I guess you can only play one deck. Oh, you can't. Yeah, you can't switch any decks or anything like that. But yeah, the sideboard feature I think is the biggest
Yeah,
distinguishing wrinkle about the Mana League series.
yeah.
Yeah, one game seems
Yeah,
kind of brutal. Like,
yeah. Just
you're like, holy crap.
comes down to the cost.
Even best of three is pretty brutal. I mean, like best of five seems to be like, the best, one of the best ways to like help you sort of adapt. But like if you lose two games, you're already screwed in best of three. But all right, so let's move on to the
Sorry.
pineapple lock. You used let's see if oops wrong screen there. Uh, where is
No
one
problem.
second? Sorry guys. That's where day out screen reset it. We can put it up later, but so the pineapple deck. Can you talk a little bit about that deck you
Yeah,
used to get to
so
rank one last season?
when GVG first came out, I was anticipating a lot of aggro-based decks. A lot of people would be experimenting with
Okay.
mech and stuff. So this is why I included the zombie chows. And then Soulfire had just recently been nerfed, so I decided that Dark Bomb would be a better alternative. I've always hated the discard mechanic of Soulfire because it always seemed to have discarded the card that I needed the most in some sort of follow-up turn or something like that. So yeah, the deck's goal was basically to survive and then outvalue the deck later in the game. I didn't think too many people would be experimenting with Control Warrior or people would have Refine decks and stuff. So I felt like I could just outplay people, and that is exactly what happened. The deck quickly became outdated, I think, once the meta got more refined. But yeah, um, that is why I built it the way I built it, and had changed it a little bit since then. Recombobulator proved to be a bit of a better Earthen Ring Farseer in that it could turn giants, from 8-1 all the way to 8-8. But then I found that it actually was not doing that good because it was very hard to keep a giant stuck on the board to begin with. So a lot of times it would just be sitting dead in my hand, and so that no longer is featured in my deck anymore. The Recombobulator, I should say.
Okay. Yeah. So yes, I guess we have an outdated list here. Um, so what was replaced for
Um,
Recombobulator?
I mean, several changes have been made since then. I think what I'm running now, like four AOE's. Um, I think maybe Earthen Ring Farseer is back in the deck just because it's not as limited in like what it could do. Um, on my EU list because
Hmm.
there were a lot of control warriors. I think I was running Acidic Swamp Ooze. There are no more zombie chows, and I think I favored more late game stuff, more bombs. So Doctor Boom obviously is not in this list, but
Hmm.
is but is now featured
Right. Yeah.
almost universally in every list now. So it should be in the Handlock list as well. And then I think I switch in and out between Jiraxis. I don't think I use Black Knight anymore. Um,
Hmm.
I mean, I switch between Jiraxis and Alexstrasza. Sometimes I've used either Ragnaros or Sylvanas, things like that. So the list is always ever changing, so I can't, say anything that's concrete. I haven't played Handlock since the beginning of, or since the end of last season, so I don't know. I don't know what exactly is good for the current meta, but I think whatever I'm running in my current Handlock list should be okay. Let me get.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to ask you about the healing. So, obviously, there's this contention between Earthen Ring and Anti-Killbot. Obviously Anti-Killbot gives you more healing, but Earthen Ring is a little bit more versatile. Like, what's your
Yeah,
opinion
I
about those
I
two?
like the antique heal bot because it almost seems like it's added an extra card slot to your deck because the it heals you for so much,
Hmm.
like you just can't find that like it's effective, so you can't find that in some any other card. So like you can make your deck a little greedier just solely by virtue of the fact that you have this thing that heals you for like 8 damage for 8 life. So effectively to
Hmm.
me it's kind of like an extra card slot was added to the decks once Antique Healbot became available. And like cards that you couldn't fit before because you had to run two earthen rings are no longer like that much of an issue. Stuff like that.
Okay. So about I want your opinion on the Soulfire nerf. So Blizzard's reasoning was that it would hurt aggro, which I think is the opposite of what happened. I think it hurt Handlock more. I think I mean obviously discarding cards is obviously not something you want to do as a Handlock, but I think having a bit of a tempo advantage over aggro, being able to have like a free 4 damage to remove something to help stabilize, I think is important. And because usually aggro has the extra mana left over, and they can dump their whole hand before they play Soulfire, which doesn't change by increasing the mana cost. What's your
Yeah,
opinion on the nerf?
I don't know. Like when I played Zoo, and this was this was like once upon a time. Like I always felt like the zero mana Soulfire
Hmm.
was always nice. I suppose there are situations where like it doesn't it's inconsequential when it's 1 or 0, but I always felt like it's because they had such low curving or low costing cards that it made it even more difficult to cast Soulfire, which I think a lot of people aren't playing Soulfire anymore. I mean, some people do, but a lot of people are playing like cards like Implosion and stuff. Its effect on Handlock
Hmm.
wasn't as bad, especially since Rogue is gone now. Like, it's really bad to like. It is really nice to drop a Giant or a Drake on 4 and then like Soulfire an SI Agent, or like when they put a Twilight Drake out or an Azure Drake out. It was really nice to put down a Giant and then Soulfire that minion. But no longer like is Miracle Rogue that big or that featured that much on a ladder anymore. So to me, like the difference between Dark Bomb and Soulfire isn't that big, and like the extra mana cost for Dark Bomb not to discard a card is actually okay. Because a lot of times, what would I be using Soulfire on? It would be like an Undertaker or like a Knife Juggler, or to get rid of something like that. And Dark Bomb does that job just as equally well and doesn't discard a card. So
Hmm. Um, Jordan, do you want to jump in
No,
here? I'm
it's all
sorry, I've
good.
taken over the whole
It's just
conversation.
like my like the handlock. I think people just went from like changing like the chows and stuff like that and just putting in more threats. Like that's all I've seen really. The only change I've seen is like they take out chow.
Hmm.
Like some are playing one owl. I don't know if that's right. Like I don't know if it's wrong either. But like I just like from my what I've been laddering like this season, owl is like really important. Like the the effect to silence is so unique and it's like actually really damaging to the game. But like that's a completely different discussion that we can have later on. Like I actually think Iron
Hmm.
Beak Owl might be like the worst fucking card in the game, just based off the like it just does so much for like a 2 man, and you get a 2-1 out of it. Like I don't know, it's just that's my opinion. But just from like
Yeah.
laddering this year to or like this season is like I'm glad that I play 2 owls. So and then yeah, it's just like the handlock I've been playing just has like more threats basically.
yeah,
Like Boom, I think I have Boom, Sylvanas, the Giants, obviously, and then like I flip Draxus and Rag because like Draxus is like the problem with Draxus is like every time that I play him, I always feel underwhelmed with him. But then the games that I don't have him, I just die,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, so
right.
like he's just like hard card to judge.
It's hard to plan from a
Yeah,
commanding
I
position
think one of
sometimes.
the
Yeah.
innovations too that's
But
like really stuck from Joey's like that pineapple lock deck is the one Siphon Soul. I really
Yeah.
I really only see one Siphon Soul nowadays, just because like paying 6 to assassinate to gain 3 when you already have Healbot is just uh,
Exactly.
like I think I would just play the I'd rather play the four
yeah, yeah.
AOE's than play like 3 AOE's in the second Siphon Soul.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a very fair point
Hmm.
because yeah, the reason why I was running two siphons pre GVG was because I valued health so much.
Yeah,
I tapped very aggressively, and all I had were two Earthen Rings and two Siphon Souls, so I didn't really have much in the
yeah,
way of healing. But with the heal bots now, it's like all of a
Hmm.
sudden that 3 health from the Siphon Soul is no longer that big a deal, and the 6 mana cost to remove something was really like really expensive. You know, it's hard to establish tempo if you were behind with with the Siphon Soul, but now I could use like a big game hunter
Hmm.
instead.
Yeah.
When everyone's running Doctor Boom, like you're almost guaranteed to get utility out of big game hunter in most matchups.
Yeah.
Um, so like a big game hunter
Hmm.
and a Siphon Soul is always nice. Or yeah, you can establish tempo. You can put a giant on the board and remove a Ragnaros at the same time, as opposed to just siphoning the Ragnaros. So
Yeah.
So there is sort of this, I guess, I don't know, love triangle between like Jiraxis, Alexstrasza, and Harrison Jones. Obviously people don't want to play Jiraxis because then their weapon immediately gets destroyed and your opponent gets an
yeah,
absurd amount of card advantage over you. Alexstrasza heals for the same amount of health technically, but I mean you lose the hero power for Jiraxis, which is really big for the late game of being able to basically overpower your opponent, but you don't give your opponent
right.
all the cards they need to beat you. So I want to know what your opinion is of that sort of love triangle between those three. Like if you like running Jiraxis despite Harrison, if you think Alexstrasza might be better until Harrison goes
Yeah,
away.
as I've mentioned
What's
before,
your opinion on that?
I flip flop between Jiraxis and Alexstrasza just because, like, a lot of times, I'd be either on the cusp of losing a game or something, and I need to play Jiraxis to survive. But it's like, well, if I play Jiraxis, and then Harrison Jones is gonna hit me. So a lot of times, like Jiraxis would be sitting as
Hmm.
a dead card in my hand, and when I go through a series of games like that, I just switch it out for Alexstrasza when I could just play her for an 8/8. And sometimes you can even just win you games by using it offensively. So depending on how many Harrison Joneses I see it
Hmm.
out there, then I'll either play Jiraxis or not play Jiraxis.
Hmm. So I guess I can also we can add to this Mal'Ganis. Obviously Mal'Ganis is a pretty slow card, but I mean, do you think it might be overkill to have Jiraxis and Mal'Ganis in one deck, like to maybe use Mal'Ganis to protect Jiraxis?
Hmm.
Do you think that would work?
Um, I think having too many 9 drops is a bit overwhelming. I suppose if you were to do that, maybe for a tournament setting, if you were just to have your handlock available as just strictly a control versus control deck, then yes, I think maybe that's possible.
Hmm.
But on the ladder, because there's so much aggro, I think having two 9 drops is just a bit slow. If you were to maybe feature void callers or something like
Hmm.
that to get them out, then maybe you can do that. Which I think ASDF had a deck posted on Liquid Hearth a couple of weeks ago. It was a demon lock deck, which only had like 5 demons in it or something like that, including the void callers. But yeah, I played with it a little bit.
Hmm.
I think I went like 4-1 with it, just because like it was actually pretty good against aggro because it curved out a little bit better. You had void callers and I think some other 3 drops and stuff like that. But it was weak against Handlock because it didn't have Twilight Drakes or Mountain Giants in it. So just like card for card, it was a little bit weaker. Void callers obviously don't compete with Giants as well. So
Hmm. It was funny. I faced someone on ladder who had Jiraxis and Mal'Ganis, and they also had Faceless. So they faceless Jirax. They had Jiraxis out, and they faceless Mal'Ganis. So each
oh yeah,
Mal'Ganis is buffing the
yeah,
other,
yeah.
and and they're both buffing
Yeah.
the hero power. It's just
Oh
I
man.
got destroyed. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
it's really funny. Obviously, I doubt that works out that way
Yeah.
that often, but it
Just
was just
rage
funny.
quit, click
Yeah.
on your hunter deck that you
Yeah.
have built, and just re-queue as fast as
Yeah.
possible. And then just keep re-queuing into that person. And you'll be legend probably by the night. Like that's pretty bad.
Yeah. It was, so let's move on to so card of the day is Dr. Boom.
Doctor Boom.
So a lot of discussion about this card recently. Everyone apparently it's you know people are complaining that it's strictly better than War Golem. I'm not sure why. A card that no one uses is suddenly like the martyr of Hearthstone. I don't
Strictly
really
better than the
understand.
card you get for
Um,
free.
uh,
Strictly better.
yeah, I don't understand. And obviously it's technically a 9/9 for 7. If you go
Right.
by like effective stats and plus the additional 2 to 8 damage that it can
Yeah.
do, like the boom bots. They buff Undertaker. I mean, obviously, for 7 mana you're getting a lot out of this card. I don't personally have an issue with it. I mean, like, I think, like, I don't know the line between a card that's powerful and overpowered. I feel like Blizzard nerfs the card and it becomes
Right. Right.
unusable half the time. Like, so I don't know. Like, I was thinking if they were to nerf it, they could make the boombot
Mm,
0/1s or something,
yeah,
so that they have to be activated. Um, Maybe that might be a way to deal with it. But what do you guys think about Doctor Boom?
I'll let you start. Go first. Okay.
Joey, you can go first.
So
Joey,
yeah,
you
I
can go.
think Doctor
Yeah.
Boom is a lot of stats for 7 mana. I mean, you don't usually see 9/9s for seven, so just by that from a baseline, it's a
Right.
little bit overpowered. I think Show put it best when he said Doctor Boom is like a war golem with two dark bombs available and two. I don't remember what he compared the ones, but like yeah, because they're gonna do on average right
Right.
five
Right.
damage, so that's basically dark bombs. So like you're getting 11 mana's
Hmm.
worth of stuff for 7 mana. So if it were to be changed, I think maybe only one boom bot or maybe just decrease the range of damage that it does. So from 1 to 4 to 1 to 2 or something like that. That would be my immediate
Hmm.
changes. I would not change its attack power from 7 to 6 because that just makes it even more difficult to remove, like with BGH and stuff. So
That's a
so I
buff.
But yeah,
so
yeah. Some people want to do like a 7/5, which I don't like either. Making it that
yeah.
top heavy, I think, is not
So
good.
those are my
Yeah.
initial thoughts on that card.
Okay. Jordan, what do you think?
I mean, the card is so good. Like, it's just like,
I mean, there's a reason why it's being universally played.
yeah. Like I actually took it out of my
Yeah.
powerlifting deck just because it was the only BGH target, and it was like always getting BGH. So I just took it out for Kalthazad. It's
Hmm.
fine.
Okay.
It actually works pretty well. The deck works pretty well because, like, I
Right.
mean, against aggro, if you have Kalthazad and Sludge Belcher, they can't win. Uh,
Yeah.
if against control, if you have Kalthazad plus like Sylvanas, they can't win. Like, there's just I don't know.
Hmm.
It was just like, I was just something that I was trying, and then it actually worked. So I was like, well, I'll just leave it, I guess. But I might go back to Doctor Boom just
Hmm.
because, like, I think with Doctor Boom being so powerful, it's like making other cards worse, like Ragnaros and stuff like. Because like everybody's playing at least one BGH in almost every deck. Like probably the only decks that aren't playing a BGH is like Zoo and Hunter. Like,
Yeah, it's easier to debate a BGH, which is also probably why people are running two.
well, I'm not
So
even
you
gonna
know,
talk about the people that are
because they're
running two. Like, not even gonna talk about
Yeah.
those. Those people are single-handedly responsible for why I don't have Gold Warlock already. Because like at the beginning of the season, I was like, "Oh, just play Handlock, whatever." First guy I played against double BGH. I'm like, "Well, never again this season." But okay, yeah, it's probably gonna get changed. Honestly, I like the change that if you make the boom bots like not be able to trigger themselves,
Mm,
then it's good. Because like them being able to like run into whatever you want and then like it makes the random damage less random,
right, right.
right? Because then like they can
right. Yeah.
kill like an X1 or whatever, or like make something smaller than the boom. Like yeah, it just needs to be changed to like something needs to be changed with the actual bots themselves, not with Doctor Boom. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. I mean, obviously that's the issue, right? Like, because without the bots, it is just a war golem, but the bots are the difference. But yeah, if they make them 0/1s, I think like forcing you to have an activation for them, like it gives your opponent an option to ignore them, or obviously it becomes like a Nubian egg where they like now like AOE is
Right.
an issue, because you'll activate the bombs at that point. So I think it might add a little bit more strategy to it if they make them
I like
zero
that thought.
ones.
Yeah, the 0/1 thought is actually interesting. Yeah, it doesn't give the opponent initiative or the Doctor Boom owner initiative to activate them, but
Hmm.
rather just something as a looming threat for the one facing the Doctor Boom to
Right,
have to
right.
worry about, which is okay.
Hmm. So let's see. Let's move on to next topic, which is giving credit where it's due. Well, I guess we don't. I thought I had that. Where'd that page go? So I mean, I brought up the Lyman Mill Druid. It's I mean, it's obviously a bigger issue of like, well, who should take credit for decks? Like, like two people come up with a deck that maybe is somewhat similar. Like, you hear this all the time. Like, it's a Raynad deck. Just the running joke now in the Hearthstone community at this point. Just like he apparently Raynad's made every deck.
Yeah.
But like what are your Joey? What's your thoughts about like credit in Hearthstone? Like how do we go about dealing with this issue of like, well, who came up with the deck and who's responsible for whatever
It's
variations
such
and all that sort
a
of
fuzzy
stuff.
line. It's hard for me to say who exactly deserves credit. It's like, I mean, you talked about Raynad inventing Zoo, right? Like, I mean, the concept of Zoo was well before Raynad popularized it. But I will say that this is from my personal opinion that I think Raynad um, innovated the version of Zoo that a lot of people have been using lately, I guess, with like the shield bearers.
Hmm.
You haven't been using this one lately, but when we saw like the Argent Squires and the shield bearers and the Direwolf alphas, and these were cards like that we'd not previously seen before. So in a sense, Reynad didn't exactly
Hmm.
invent Zoo, but he definitely popularized it. And we haven't seen decks stray too far away from that initial formula. I mean, obviously some cards have changed when Max came out and when GBG came out, um, but for the most part, they still have a lot of the cards from the original formula that Reynad came up with. So when we talk about like who gets credit and stuff, I guess whatever current version is being used and whoever posted something about it first should get credit. So like if D Lineman is playing this Mildred, which isn't a new concept, but they're playing this one with like the Tree of Life and
Right. Yeah.
the Starfall and the Poison Seeds and stuff like that. These are cards that you don't always see in every Mildred deck. So if he's the one that posted about this and had some sort of feature discussion on it on someone's show, then I suppose he should get the credit because no one else publicized it or no one else put themselves out there. But it's definitely a fuzzy line.
Hmm. Yeah. So the issue with the Mildred in particular is like there's another deck called Natural Remedies. Um, let's see if I can find out the original. Well, Crip was playing this deck not called Natural Remedies on his stream. So it's not on. Okay, well, so I mean that's sort of the issue. Like, so people are saying that well, the lineman got the deck from there and changed like a few cards, that sort of thing. So, but obviously I had never heard of the deck before I saw Crip playing it. So I mean I
Okay.
gave Crip credit originally before this article. So that's sort of the weird thing, right? It's like and like Kalento is given credit for Miracle Rogue. Apparently, he is responsible for the innovation of the the Leroy finish, not necessarily the concept of Miracle Rogue. So I mean that's
Hmm.
sort of the issue is that like people are giving credit for like decks when they really should be given credit for like maybe pieces
True.
of the
True.
deck, so to speak. Uh, Jordan, what's your opinion
Thing is, like,
on this?
it's like similar to like other card games. Obviously, like there's like there's like millions of people playing this game, right? And there's with such a small card pool,
Hmm.
there's only like not like a limited amount, but there's only like X amount of permeations and combinations that can be made from a deck. So it's like it's hard to like it's hard to like really give somebody credit. Like what I'm saying is like if you think of it, somebody else has probably already thought about it because there's so many people
Hmm.
playing.
Right.
Like I can't like what was it like 20 million the last time or something insane.
Right. Yeah. Worldwide,
And you
20
figure
plus million
so like
people
even
playing
if
Hearthstone. Yeah.
like let's say like 10% of that or something is like very competitive, like there's probably a chance that if you've thought of it and tried it, somebody else also has as well. And especially because there's only like
Hmm.
500 cards or so in the game, so it's like I don't know. I think it's not so much like people getting credit for the deck, but like the people who like popularize it, I guess, through streams and articles. I guess would be more of
Hmm.
like a fitting way than like saying like I invented the deck. It'd be like
Hmm.
it was popularized through so and so by I don't know a stream or a article or something like that. Because yeah, even the innovation of like can't even think of anything right now. Like let's just say like with Zoo, let's say, like there was probably somebody that had come up with like a Zoo concept or like a freeze mage deck, like the first time it was made. They're like, oh, I'm gonna make this concept for the
Mm-hmm.
deck, and it's just like they maybe like they're more casual or they just enjoyed the deck for uh, like the type of deck it was, I guess, but like never really put it out there. And then someone else is like, oh, I play this deck, it's crazy, like so like they just popularized it, not necessarily were the first to invent it, because it's like I don't know, it's hard. But like I think like
Mm-hmm.
innovations and like popularization probably should be like the biggest things that I get credit for, I guess. So I don't know. It's a tough thing. Like it's in every card game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And like yeah, and for a card game like Hearthstone, which is still relatively new compared to like Magic, for example, the card pool is small, and not only is the card pool small, but the card pool of usable cards is small. I mean, there's only like for example, if you make a Hobgoblin deck, well, I mean, obviously it's sort of built itself, right? So I mean, Hobgoblin, one attack minions are buffed. You're only going to play one attack minions for the most part, with few like, and there aren't that many one attack minions that are worth playing, along with Hobgoblin, and plus the class cards of whatever class you're playing. So um, the pool of cards that are actually worth using in a given concept of a deck is actually, even with GVG out, still relatively small. So it makes it pretty easy for people to make similar
Yeah,
decks.
and it's not saying like the deck builders that are out there are like to be discredited or anything. You know what I mean? Because like it's like obviously like
Hmm.
to build something from scratch, keep testing it, testing it, testing it, testing it to make sure like the combination of cards are right. Obviously, it's not like as easy as just like snapping your fingers and like, oh, it's done. Like, also, I'm not like trying to discredit
Right, right.
anybody like building a deck or whatever, thinking they're like a master deck builder or whatever. I'm just saying like the people that get mad about like I don't know if people actually get mad about people like saying like, oh, I made this deck when like somebody else might have played it earlier. Like I don't really know. Um,
I think there's a little bit of that. Like I definitely see, I don't know. It seems like there's a bit of like tension about it
yeah,
sometimes. I don't know, but
I don't really
yeah.
know. I don't know. It's like I'll give the example of like the whole play to win or pay to win, whatever the hell people call it. That's not true, but
Hmm.
it's like I don't know. It's just I feel like some people just get their lives get boring, so they just have to complain about something. When this topic gets brought
Yeah.
up,
Hmm.
it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm bored today, so I'm just gonna go on someone's stream and be like, I invented this deck. Why are you saying that you did? Blah 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 blah. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a tough topic, I guess. I don't know. It's a card game. People are gonna use the same decks as you. Metas are gonna be defined. Just play the damn game to have fun. Like I don't know.
Hmm. All right. So I want to move on to one last section here. It's a bit of an activity called 40 Down, where we take a look. I put together a 40 card deck, and I want you guys to just give me your opinions on what cards you would remove to turn into a 30 card deck you could actually play on ladder. Um, so weird. OBS is ruining my windows. Hold
Sure.
on a second.
How do we see if it's 40? Is it just have 40 cards in it?
I sent you guys a link. I can send it again in chat if you'd like. And
Yeah.
it's on
Oh,
Hearthstone.
okay.
It has
So
40
just this thing
cards in
has
it.
40 cards in it. Okay. Yep. Eight.
Uh,
Five.
let's see if I can.
Oh yeah. Okay. It does have. Okay.
Okay. So Jordan, can you see the
I'm
deck
just getting
as
to
well?
it now.
Yeah. Okay.
Can you just send the link? Thanks.
Yeah, I can. No problem. 1 second.
Pew.
Okay.
Ooh, Warlock.
Yep. They're kind of right up my alley, I think.
Yeah. See, I wanted you. I just want. It's just a fun activity. I just wanted to see what you guys would remove from the 40 that are here to make it into something that you think would be viable. What do you
Okay,
think,
so
Joey?
I mean, yeah, this deck features a lot of the anti-aggro tech as well as the greedy tech that you commonly see in various handlock builds. So I would probably,
Hmm.
I mean, to make this a viable deck, I'd probably cut like Recombobulator, I think I would probably tilt away from Zombie Chows, but not quite sure yet. I'd cut maybe one Farseer. So there's two cards that I definitely get rid of because this doesn't have the four AoEs. There might be a card that I would stick with. Definitely Harrison Jones has got to go. If I were to have any weapon removal at all, though,
Hmm.
it'd be probably an Acidic Swamp Ooze, just because Harrison Jones is difficult to
Hmm.
use when your hand is already full. Faceless Manipulator. There's just too many. There's already a lot of high value cards. I don't think Faceless Manipulator is seen that commonly now in handlock versions post GBG, although you will see it every now and then. Lotheb, to me, is still somewhat of an underwhelming card, so I'd cut that as well. Um, because Miracle is now gone, so that's five. I cut a Siphon Soul, so that's a sixth card.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. I would probably cut Rag and Alexstrasza for cards 7 and 8. Just because you already have Jiraxis, so it's either pick one or the other. I'd keep Doctor Boom
Hmm.
and Sylvanas. So let's see. Yeah, that's card 7 and 8. So I guess the other two cards I would remove would be double Zombie Chow for my 10 card, or for the 10 cards I would cut. So both Zombie Chows,
Okay.
Recombobulator, one Farseer. Um, oh, you know what? I actually might cut like an Argus actually. So you don't usually see two Arguses, and to have four taunt givers in your deck is usually it's pretty bad. So if I were to cut Argus, I might keep one Zombie Chow, or if I wanted to keep both Zombie Chows, I might cut like a Sludge Belcher or something.
Hmm. Yeah. How many taunts or taunt givers would you say in general is fine for a deck? So like this one has double Sun Fury, double Argus,
Yeah,
double Sludge Belcher. That's six. Assuming you get on 2 minions, you're talking about
right.
talking about eight
Yeah,
potential taunts, right? So how many taunts would you say is reasonable for like a
I think four to
handlock deck?
five. So you should have two Sun Furies, one Argus, and either two Sludge Belchers or one Sludge Belcher. But I think if you have too many cards devoted to
Hmm.
taunts, like Sludge Belchers don't actually remove minions, um, like particularly against Warrior or anything like that. Um, they just slow down
Hmm.
tempo, which sometimes is or isn't valuable. And then having two Arguses, right? These are only like two, three minions standing alone. They just give like I guess +1/+1 to other minions, and a lot of times you don't want to give taunt anyway because you fear like Black Knight or something like that. So I want to have cards that
Hmm.
are good standing alone and not cards that just buff other cards because there's only so much room in a deck you have for value, and I'd rather have more value. So I mean, I've been on one Argus for quite some time now, and I've been actually shifting between one or two Sludge Belchers. So I think four to five is good for a handlock formula.
Okay. So Jordan, what would you cut from this
Um,
deck?
yeah, I think mine would be pretty similar. I'm on the three taunters as well. Argus is strictly worse as a taunter than Sun Fury Protector. Like the +1/+1 is almost always like irrelevant for the extra 2 mana, and like the 2/3 body on.
Hmm.
I'll play a 2/3 body on two like against if I have a bad hand against like Zoo or Hunter, but I don't think I'd ever play a
Hmm.
4 mana 2/3 against anybody. So
Right. Yeah.
that's a simple. If you're gonna cut one, that's pretty simple. Zombie Chow. I never really played Zombie Chow, so I'd probably cut the two Zombie Chows, the Recombobulator, one or both Earthen Ring Farseers, just to make room probably for like the extra Hellfire. Like I might play like zero if I was gonna play
Hmm.
if I needed room. Um,
Hmm.
I'd play one Healbot. Yeah, cut the Faceless, the Harrison Jones, the Lotheb. I played 2 Sludge Belcher. I like Sludge Belcher. Just think like he's really. I played a lot of Hunter and just like he's so good against them. Like every time someone plays a Sludge Belcher on me, it's just like well, because it's either gonna eat like one of the owls, or it's gonna eat like a minion plus like a minion to like 2 minions maybe plus like a hunter charge like a weapon charge, or it's just gonna eat it like a kill command weapon charge or like kill command minion. So like it's I think it's just really good. Yeah, go down to 1 Siphon Soul, and then I'd probably play Alex Straza over Draxus, just because I've been seeing a lot of paladins lately, and like the thing is like even if they're just gonna wait to hold on to their Harrison Jones for your Draxus, it's kind of just like they're just having a dead card in their hand the whole game for something that you might not even play. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like there's been games against Handlock where I've actually just played Harrison Jones as a 5/4 on 5 just to deal with the giant when it comes out, because it's like so like I don't know how crazy it is like to hold on to Harrison Jones for Draxus. So I don't really know if like the downside between playing like the biggest thing for me with Draxus is like I just feel like it just is too slow against like something like Warrior. Like 15 they can still what because Gromosh plus so they would need like yeah, all they need is
Grom
like
Taskmaster,
Grom Taskmaster
Fire
plus a
Wax, yeah.
weapon, and you're still dead. And like, if you're paying 9, you can't do anything else with your mana. Like nine's essentially 10 in this deck. So, I think I would just play Alex Straza just as an 8/8 body. And because like if they have BGH, they probably already killed something with it. If they haven't, then it's like, well, I guess you lose, but or like probably not lose, but like you know what I mean. So yeah, I think I would cut that. I'd keep the Alex Straza, cut the Draxus. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I gotta add a card. Oh yeah, I'd add the Hellfire.
You want you want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
add
If I'm
Hellfire, yeah.
if I'm playing
Okay.
if I'm gonna play 1 Siphon Soul, I want to play 2 Hellfires and 2 Shadow. Just because I want to have some more removal.
So, right. So I wanted to. I wasn't going to bring this up. I guess I might as well. I wanted to do a comparison between Sludge Belcher and Sunwalker. I mean, obviously Sunwalker has not been used in a while, but I mean both cards can block a minimum of 2 points of attack. How do you guys value those two against one another in terms of like one has a Divine Shield, can block any damage, the other one has an extra taunt built into it. Like, how do you guys feel about those two compared to one another?
Sure.
Joey,
Yeah, I
you
think
start.
Sludge Belcher is strictly better than Sunwalker, and I think strictly because it costs 5. So, um, like the Divine Shield, and it's like before when Black Knight was pretty much commonplace. Really easy to remove a Sunwalker, whereas at least you got some like residual leftover. So, I feel like Sludge Belcher's mechanic is just better than Sunwalker's overall. I think the sixth spot was pretty clogged too. Like as far as like Handlock is speaking, like just we had Siphon Soul and stuff. We have Sylvanas there. Sometimes you would run Cairn. 5 was lacking a lot. I think the only 5 at the time for Handlocks were like Faceless Manipulators. So Sludge Belcher was really good. Now we have like Loatheb and stuff too, but it's still really good at the 5. There's still not a lot of like big 5 drops at this moment. So
Yeah. So do you think? Because I know, yeah, because when Nax came out, people ran Black Knight a lot against Sludge Belcher. That seemed to have died off a bit. Like, I mean, Druids are still running Black Knight to some extent, but do you think people have sort of they've lost some of the value? Like, do you think Black Knight gets enough value against the first half of Sludge Belcher, or it
yeah.
seems like people have stopped doing that?
I mean, obviously, like, you'd like to use it on a bigger taunt, but I think it's still enough of a board swing to warrant using Black Knight. That said, there's still way higher value cards than just killing like half of a Sludge Belcher. So, that's why it's somewhat difficult to fit Black Knight into a lot of decks now, is because Doctor Boom and stuff have been included. People don't want to have to cut Doctor Boom to put a Black Knight in, stuff like that.
Right. Jordan, how do you feel about Sludge Butcher versus
Yeah, it's strictly
Sunwalker?
better. Like before Nax, like all of your like control threats, I guess, were like 6 and up. Because like Sylvanas post nerf was 6. Karen, Baron Geddon, Alexstrasza, Ragnaros, like they're all. I don't. Was there any threat post Nax that was like less than 5 or 5 or less?
I don't think so. I mean, like people ran Faceless, but then that was obviously not put on on 5. That was for
Yeah, I
popping
just
a
think
bigger
like
threat later.
it was like
So yeah, I don't think so.
it's just strictly better because it costs 5 and does essentially the same thing. Because even if like because the shield is basically equal to the 1/2 because like the 1/2 is probably like the 1/2 is probably going to get killed by something big anyway. So it's like
Yeah.
whereas like they're just going to run something small or like like whatever, smack their face into the Sunwalker. It's like it's essentially like the same card. You just pay 1 more mana, so it's just strictly better in my opinion. And yeah, the Black Knight obviously just destroys Sunwalker's day. So
Right. Exactly. Alrighty. I know. Joe, you said you could
Yeah.
only stay for an hour, correct?
Yeah,
How's
but
your
a
time?
bit overtime, I guess, from 4 to 5. So we'll have to cut these.
Okay. Well, actually, we went through. Looks like we went through the whole agenda, so we can go ahead and just wrap it up here. So unless so Joey, do you have any plugs that you want to put out
Yeah,
there to
sure.
keep stream?
So shout out to my Adventus teammates. So Naviute, Church, and Black Tide. They're all are streamers. So I can I don't know if you want me to put that in the chat or not, but I can put it all. Okay, so
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, we can
Naviute
link them. Yeah.
is this one. Black Tide streams here at Shadow Tide and Church. Oops, I didn't make that one correctly. Let me repaste that one. And last but not least is actually Church and myself, of course, which you click on my name and just follow it there. And then Galacot, our team manager, actually streams too, so you guys can all follow those guys. So yeah, I guess that's about it for me for plugs. Also, I guess Bird, who is like a media content producer as well, is also starting like some sort of podcast series, but they're more like offline podcasts. So you can actually follow him too at Healthy Bird, and he actually hosted his first episode of his Into the Hearth series, which actually featured me. So that's something that you guys might want to check out. Which was an interview that took place shortly after I'd gotten rank 1 NA last season. So yeah.
Alrighty, sounds good. Jordan, do you have any plugs or anything you want to
I'd like to plug
shout out to anyone?
Calcazad. He's really good. Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to thank Dr. Boom for being so amazing, helping everybody, taking care of everybody like a good doctor should. Yeah. Hopefully they change him soon because he's really annoying to play against. He's just annoying to play against as he is to play, though, too. Because it's like when those bombs just go crazy all over the place, or when they hit face, you're like, God damn it.
Right, yeah.
But
yeah, obviously you like playing it, but you don't want to see him
it's hard
on
to
your
argue
opponent's
with
side,
value,
obviously. So, yeah. Yeah. Alrighty, so thank you guys for watching the stream. Please follow the stream. Actually, after this StingRaze, we're gonna host Jordan. He's gonna. Are you doing anything in particular on your
I'm probably
stream,
going to take a break
Jordan?
for probably about an hour. I haven't eaten yet, so probably going to eat first. And then I'm just going to continue playing this Paladin deck that I've been playing. It's pretty sweet with Kel'Thuzad and all the fun stuff.
Okay, so in an hour, Jordan will be streaming. We're gonna host him on the StingRaze channel. So please follow Jordan. Please follow the StingRaze channel. Please follow myself. Good enough show. All of our on the screen, you can see all of our Twitch handles as well as our Twitter handles. So please give us all a follow. Please spread the word about the podcast and about the team. Go to StingRaze.com. After the show, I'm going to post this episode. I'm going to upload to YouTube. I'm going to upload to iTunes. So look for that over the next day or so. Again, thank you guys for watching, and have a good night.
All right, Ken. Thank you, man.